Alrighty guys, what's going on? We got a little video for today. We're gonna do a battery relocation kit on my buddy's Aaron's EG hatch. Well, coupe, my bad. So I previously had a video here, probably be listed here on the website as well, but I didn't have it on an actual car. If you guys see all the video, I just had cut a section of an EK there. But today I got a full car here. I'm gonna go ahead and show you what you need to do in order to get it going. It's really simple. By far, I would say, from a lot of feedback that I got, one of the easiest one to mount. You are gonna need a rib gun, and that's about it. And you're gonna need to drill, which I'm gonna show you here in a second. So here, originally on the EGs, on the EKs, and the DCs, DC2, they're already gonna have a mounting hole over here. Okay, so as you can see here, it will come with a paper here. You can see here with my logo on it. And I'm gonna quickly show you how easy it is to really mount it. And the reason you see the three little section is like that, because you're able to move the battery forward or back as you really wish. The reason I did it that way, so if you're gonna be running a slick, you can move the tire forward, and if you have a wider bumper, you're able to get away with that. If you're just trying to run in like an OEM setup, you can mount it here on the stock location like we're going to be doing it, and you're not going to have no problem with the tire rubbing onto the battery tray or the battery itself. So you don't have to trim this, but we're going to trim it just a little bit just so the battery can fit nice and snugged. There are a couple people that you can see it on my website there on the profile that they didn't trim anything, but they said it was just a little bit too tight, but they didn't want to cut anything. But we're gonna just trim it a little bit here just so everything can sit properly. If you are gonna move the battery forward, you are gonna need to trim all of this and cut this completely flat here all the way through. That way the battery actually slides forward. This thing is getting out of focus. So anyways, let me go ahead and show you guys. So we're gonna have that one right there at the top. As you can see, it's the template, and I already have it there bolted in. And then what I'm gonna do next is line up the hole, which is gonna be that one, this one, and this one. So I'm gonna make the paper nice and straight as I want. And here you can see it's a different one. So if you're gonna move it forward, you can plan it as you wish, but we're gonna mount it here, and this should give us enough room if he needs to move the battery forward later on that he can. But you can see the bottom one slotted and the top one is slotted. They got the name and everything ready to go there. So we'll go ahead and put the rib nuts and show you guys the rest of the stuff. But yeah, let me quickly show you guys how we're doing it. So you can see I lined it up, I kind of tapped it in where I needed to be, and then I lined up the rib nut here. So one thing I will say, and I can't stress this enough, god damn it, this thing backs up, I can't stress this enough, is don't make the hole here too big, because what's going to happen is the rib nut, it's not going to sit in there flush. It can back out. So you want it just perfect. As you can see here, barely any slice of play. I am doing it with this bit right here from Harbor Freight. So you can get something a little bit better, something that's precisely specifically for the same size. It will be even better, but you can see here it's perfect. I'm gonna go ahead and rib that one in and then move on, but you can see perfectly lines up. Get the other one, and then I'm gonna go ahead and start throwing the battery on there. So it's super easy, very simple, but again, you are gonna need a rib nut. These are M8 rib nuts, so it comes with the bolts and all the hardware, which I'll show you here in the end how it looks. But yeah, pretty simple as we're moving on. Okay, here we go guys. When put the rib nut in, you can see it's perfectly lined up at the top. So I know I got to do just drill these two last holes, and we should be able to throw the battery on there. Alrighty, so we're almost there, but you can see it. There you go, perfectly. All right, let's get going. So here we are. We're almost halfway there, pretty much almost there. We are gonna be doing the wiring, so I'm gonna be showing that in a second. But a little quick feedback and update on it. In my opinion, the way you should do it, obviously put the top one first, and then line this one up, put the battery on just like so, and then mark the other one through here, put that rib nut on, make sure it lines up properly, and then do the last one. I wouldn't suggest to do all three at the same time. You might have a hard time lining it up. So do take my feedback on this one, because when we did it on the, if you see all the video there, I have it as just a cutter section of a car, so it was really difficult for me to line it up. But here, having the whole car, it's a lot easier for me to, you know, hold the phone and do everything at once. So once again, put the top one on, and when you're gonna do the bottom one, you know, line this one up properly with the top, and then mark this one right properly, and then take it all off, but mark it this one, and then make sure everything's lined up, because that's the biggest issue that I've seen anybody dealing with it, is trying to line all 3 bolts at the same time. So do make sure that you take what I'm saying seriously, and I don't want you to mess up, you know, not having it here properly secure. So I'm gonna go ahead and line up the last hole. You know, kind of marking it like this, hitting it with a hammer here, just to make sure it's properly. I did use the paper, it is pretty good as well, but I feel like this is going to be just perfectly true to where the battery is lining up, so you don't second guess yourself. So I'll go ahead and finish the last one up, and we should be good to go with the mounting, and then we can move on to the wiring. So here we go, guys. Just what I was telling you about, to mount the battery and make sure everything's lining up properly, because before I was marking it here and I was going to be wrong. Luckily, I went back again, put it on to line it up, and we're going to be good there, right on the money. So we all line up all 3 spots. So like I said, take your time. If you fuck it up, you're kind of fucked, I'm going to be honest. So don't do that. Take your time, do it right. So you can see here, we should be good now to go. So I'm going to go ahead and mount that on, and we'll move on to the wiring. So here we are, we're all secured. Like I said, take your time lining up the bolts. That's gonna be the biggest thing that might fight you to put it on, but all of it, other than that, it's very simple. Top bolt bolts right up. On this one, I had like overspraying paint, so I had to drill it and put a M6 rib nut on there. So that's kind of the only thing that changed on this one. You can see the car's kind of freshly painted, so even all the way out here. So that's kind of the only thing that sucks, but other than that, everything was super smooth. So we're gonna move on to the wiring, throw the battery on, and see if we need to trim anything on here. On the EK, I didn't have to, but you know, specifically here we might need to, but hopefully we're not. I got my boy Aaron working on it, so luckily we didn't have to trim anything. On the EK, I did have to, but you can see here perfectly, like he said, like it was designed for. Well, I did chop an EK at the junkyard to make this work, so as it should. So we're gonna put all the bolts on. We're gonna start running the wiring, showing you guys how to do that. As of right now, we're gonna have the option of, because he doesn't have the fuse box out here, so what I might have on the website is to have an option if you have the fuse box in the bay or have it inside the car. That way there's going to be 2 different lengths. So obviously you can see here, if the cables were to come here, they're going to be shorter than if they were to go inside the car. So I'm gonna play with the wiring, see how everything looks. If I can make it in 1, then that'll work. If I have to make it into 2, as in like I have to give the option, then I will have to do that. But we're gonna go ahead and make it work, see what we can do. Here we go, guys. We're gonna go ahead and finish the wiring, show you how it's gonna be going. It's really simple, I promise you. After you see it, you're gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna get it, because it's just so simple. All right, and then everything is heat shrink loomed, and the way I love to do this is I really like take pride on doing this work for you guys. I solder this inside. It's really not hard to explain, but we just kind of like weld it in. And then what it does is you don't have to put the cables here, or like how you do the ones up top. They're kind of cheap, that you can probably find on eBay. They're really crappy. Like this is, you know, it's secured on there, and you don't have to worry about the cable backing out or the nuts up here that they back out. So I'm gonna go ahead and run this. We're gonna put it right here on the front. If you do have the crash bar, you're gonna have to move it and try to put it in here. Please clean the area, the surface where you're gonna be putting the ground. Otherwise, you are gonna have a crappy, you know, starting. So we're gonna start with this one. Go ahead and mount it, and then we're gonna go ahead and run with the other one and show you where everything is gonna be going. Right, guys, okay? So here we, oh my guys, the alarm is going off now that we added the battery on. I say, you know, the cables are good. So one thing I tell everybody is, if you're not gonna buy my cable kits, fine, at least make it as good as you can. As I replicate mine setup. That's what I try to tell everybody. If you can't not buy mine, at least make it as this good. Okay, so you can see here, we did the ground from here, and it'll come here to the front. Okay, and then again, one thing I will say is the way the terminals are, there's a position that goes up and there's a position that goes down. Okay, if not going down, you got to flip it. All right, same thing for this one, as you can see here. All right, so go ahead and run the cables down. So we did this one, the positive will come around. You can throw it in the front if you like. And the way we done it here, we did from the battery to the alternator up to the starter, but my boy does not have a starter at the moment. So you guys see it right there. And then what we did after is we went, and this is all connected in one, the positive. We ran the cable and we ran it up here. All right, we're gonna have to zip tie everything here a little bit better. So we ran it on the side of the wheel well. All right, and then we ran it here on the inside. Let's see if you guys can see this. Oh yeah, you guys can see here. All right, we ran it there, and then I'm gonna go show you guys how it looks in the inside. Right, so go ahead, let me check the inside how it looks. And this is for the fuse box that are here inside. Oh man, I'm gonna have to turn the light. Oh no, you guys can see it right there. Oh, so he already put the cover back on. You put the cover on there? Yeah, you gotta turn it on. You can pop it back off. Oh, okay. Well, let me hear if I can take it off. Well, might need to take it off so I can show. Let me do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys. Now we took the cover off. So I messed up on here, which on you guys it would be actually right. So I put 90 degrees bends on the clamps right here. So they just needed to be straight, which is not a big deal. We will leave it like that for his. But on yours, they're gonna be straight out, so you'll be able to not to trim the fuse box where how he did it. So other than that, that is pretty much, you're gonna put both right here. It doesn't matter which one it goes to what. They're just power for your fuse box from the battery. So last one I'm gonna go ahead and show you is gonna be the transmission ground, and that's gonna be it for the ground kit cable. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and finish the ground right now. One thing I did forget to cover up is about if you have the fuse box here still in the stock location, you are gonna have to make somewhat of a small hole here to pass the cables through and bring them out here to the fuse box location. I'm gonna leave them the same length as we had them here on the battery. You are gonna have to tuck it a little bit out this way, but I believe you're gonna have to just drill a small hole right here, pass the cables through and into the fuse box. But other than that, we're gonna go ahead and put the last ground, which Aaron already has. We're gonna go ahead and bolt it out right there to a stock bolt location. If you can put the bolt in. Jesus. Okay. There we go. All right, so and then we're gonna run it here to the front. This will only work for the K series guys. If you do have like a D series or B series, the only thing here that I see will be different. Actually, this will only work for K series. This will not work for B series because the way the alternator and the starter is. So I'm gonna have this listed on the website just for K series, so people don't get themselves confused. Because for B series, the alternator. So one last recap: we have the ground for the transmission here, coming here to this side. We have the cable from, which is over here, from the starter to the alternator, from the alternator out to the battery. Okay, and then here from the battery will go inside the fuse box or here on the stock location. And least but not last, we have the ground, which goes right here in the front. Okay, and then obviously you saw that video in the beginning how we cover that. Take your time, don't rush it. If you don't line up the bolts properly, you are gonna not have a fun time. But other than that, is I'm talking about, we can pretty much move the whole car. But other than that, guys, I appreciate you guys watching. Hopefully the video is a lot more in detail than I did before on the other video that I had there. All right, so I do one little video because we already closed out the video, but I want to show you guys how good it looks with the OEM bumper on. Look at that. Well, we don't have a fog lights, but check that out. So here you go. Other than that, we are out. But now he put the bumper on. I had to show you guys that. So there it is, boys.